This footage shows a 17-year-old killer moments before he went on a murderous rampage and attacked a group of little girls at a Taylor Swift workshop.
You need to come now, bring everybody. We want as many ambulances as you can get. I don't know how many girls were left in that building, he was still in there. And I thought, he's going to kill them all. You know, it's like a nightmare.
The crime left an entire country horrified and brought everything to a standstill as people struggled to understand why anyone would want to hurt innocent children. But what happened next made things even more terrifying.
The seaside town of Southport in the United Kingdom was gripped in never-seen-before chaos. Anger spilled onto the streets and riots erupted after 3 young girls were killed in a heart-wrenching mass stabbing incident.
But what really happened? Who was behind this heinous attack, and why did the protesters attack a minority group in the country? The details in the case are really triggering, so be warned. But before we continue, let's start from the beginning. The incident happened on July 29, 2024, in a seaside town called Southport in England. A group of young kids aged between 6 to 11 had attended a Taylor Swift-themed dance and yoga class at a dance studio called Heart Space, located in a quiet residential street less than a 5-minute drive from the center of town. The class began at 10 a.m. and was due to last 2 hours. Things were going pretty well, and the kids were having an enjoyable time, not knowing of the horror that was about to befall them. Colin Parry, the owner of the auto repair store located next to the studio, said that he first witnessed a commotion because a young man wearing a face mask was refusing to pay a cab driver. He said that he and the customer confronted the young man, but he asked them, "What are you gonna do?" and walked off. The man then went into the studio through a front door that was unlocked for fire safety reasons. The fully booked club for children, which was advertised as a dance and yoga workshop, as well as bracelet making, suddenly became something like a horror movie. Around 11:47 a.m., Colin, who had gone back to work, received a phone call from an employee who had gone to the building next door after he heard children screaming, and not like a normal play scream.
He was literally covered up, had a green hoodie on and a paper, you know, one of them COVID masks. He went next door, I went back into work. The next thing, one of my colleagues screaming down the phone at me, "You need to get out here now." And when I went out, he's holding like a 6-year-old girl in his arms, covered in blood, trying to save her. He'd been in the building more or less and got her out. He needs a medal. And then the others were coming out, and then I noticed some more on the floor over here.
Many people also reported hearing the terrifying screams and seeing bleeding children running away from the scene. Another witness named Joel Vierte, who was cleaning the windows in the area, said that he heard a woman screaming, "He's stabbing kids," as he drove near the dance studio. He then saw a woman in a car with a child in the passenger seat, with 4 or 5 more kids covered in blood in the back.
It was like a scene that you'd see on like a disaster film, honestly, and she just looked at me, the woman, and she said, "Honestly, love, I just want to make sure these kids are safe. I'm just going to park on the road. Please, can you get this girl out?"
Joel said that he carried a girl out of the car to get her to safety before returning to the studio, where he came face to face with a man holding a knife. The attacker reportedly ran off when he saw him. When asked by reporters what was going through his mind at that moment, he said,
"Scared as well, do you know what I mean? Because all I saw was a knife. All I thought was there was more people in there which were hurting people. So I'm there by myself at the bottom of the stairs."
The police and emergency responders arrived at the scene after receiving calls about multiple casualties. They were shocked to find that many of the victims were actually children who had been subjected to a ferocious attack and had suffered serious injuries. Soon after that, parents due to pick up their children arrived to face a scene straight out of their worst nightmares. Several witnesses reported hearing a woman running down the road screaming, "My daughter's been stabbed." A journalist who arrived 20 minutes after the police described the horrific scene, saying that he saw a young girl being wheeled out on a stretcher. "Her parents were running after her. It was horrendous. I've never seen anything like it. I saw ambulance men and women in tears. People were in tears in the streets." Emergency services quickly declared a major incident as armed response vehicles, 13 ambulances, the fire service, and 3 air ambulances were dispatched to the scene.
The scale of the emergency response tells us something about the awfulness of what happened here this morning. So too, asked us where it happened, at a Taylor Swift-themed yoga class in the school summer holidays. And then there are the words of those who were here, who saw children with stab wounds, some running, some needing to be carried out onto this street.
I didn't actually see the guy do it, but virtually seen everything else. Everything, all the young girls lying on the floor, bleeding. It's like a nightmare. You want to just save them, do you know what I mean?
It was determined there were about 11 casualties. 2 children died in the attack and 9 were injured. 6 of those were airlifted to the hospital in critical condition. 2 adults who had tried to save the children also suffered serious injuries. 2 officers were able to subdue the attacker, who was still in the building, and take the knife away from him.
It is with great sadness today I'm here to advise that 2 children have died as a result of the injuries sustained in this morning's knife attack. 9 other children have been injured, and 6 of them are in a critical condition.
At the hospital, doctors tried their best to save the injured victims, but unfortunately another girl succumbed to her injuries, raising the death toll to 3. But how could something so terrible have happened? Who was behind this, and what was his motive?
9-year-old Alice Da Silva Aguiar, 6-year-old BB King, and 7-year-old Elsie Stancombe. 3 girls whose parents yesterday dropped them off at a holiday club and today released statements in their memory. Alice's family said, "Keep smiling and dancing like you love to do, our princess. Love from your hero, daddy and mummy." BB King's family said, "No words can describe the devastation that has hit our family as we try to deal with the loss of our little girl BB." And Elsie's head teacher said she was a kind and caring friend to all who met her and was adored by everyone in our community.
The incident shook not only the community, but the entire country as well, as everyone grappled to understand why something so horrendous could happen to young, innocent children who just wanted to dance. The 3 young girls who died in the devastating attack were identified as 9-year-old Alice Da Silva Aguiar, 6-year-old BB King, and 7-year-old Elise Stancombe. Alice was a Year 4 student at Churchtown Primary School in Southport, where teachers described her as the happiest of souls and a true ray of sunshine. Her parents said she was the perfect dream child who loved animals and moved their world with her confidence and empathy. She was playful, energetic, and respectful, and enjoyed cuddling with her parents in the bedroom and watching TV with popcorn. Her parents also described how she had transformed from a princess to a preteen and had begun showing interest in her skincare regimen and makeup. Here's a cute video of her playing with makeup.
To be like, "Hey guys, today it's me. I got my makeup on to test my teacher. Look at this. Bum-buddy-do. And now guys, but thank you for watching all my videos. Get this started and no one knows but look at my eyeshadows. Bye guys, see you later, bye."
This picture of her posing with a Swift cutout was taken outside her dance class moments before she was killed. BB King was a student at Marshside Primary School, and her head teacher described her as one of the brightest and most wonderful shining stars. Her parents said that she was full of joy, light, and love, and will always be remembered as the sweet, kind, and spirited girl they adored. BB's 9-year-old sister Jeannie was also in the studio and witnessed the attack. While she managed to escape, the trauma of seeing her little sister get brutally murdered lived with her. But her parents said this about her: "She has shown such incredible strength and courage, and we are so proud of her. Her resilience is a testament to the love and bond she shared with her little sister, and we will continue to support her as we navigate this painful journey together as a family." Elsie was remembered as being a friendly, chatty, and unforgettable girl. She would speak with basically everyone and was always laughing and dancing with friends, which she had many of. She was confident and had a warmth around her, and many people loved her. Elsie attended Farnborough Road Infant School, where she was described as such a caring and charismatic young lady who loved to please. In a tribute, her head teacher said she had been a loving and bright member of the school community since she was first brought on her dad's shoulders. Leanne Lucas, the 35-year-old yoga teacher who had organized the event, was said to be in critical condition following the attack. Her cousin called her a hero, saying that she had shielded 2 girls during the attack. He said that she was recovering, but was not out of the woods yet. Jonathan Hayes, who was working in an office in the same building, ran into the dance studio after hearing screams and was jabbed in the leg when he attempted to disarm the attacker. He had to undergo a major surgery, but later said he was saddened he couldn't do more to protect the victims. He also said he did not see himself as a hero, as some media reports were portraying him. Instead, he said, "Some would say confronting a guy wielding a hunting knife is utter madness." A vigil was held in honor of the victims, with hundreds of people, including uniformed police, paramedics, and firefighters, coming together to support the families and pay their respects.
All day they've been remembered by people they never met. Generations brought together in sorrow and anger at an attack which has hit too close to home.
It's the same room that my son played for hours in. People want more answers. People want to know what's going on. People aren't happy.
I had to take them out the club myself this summer because I don't feel like it's safe anymore.
Close to where yesterday they'd been confronted with such horror, the emergency services were among those adding to a wall of flowers as stories emerged of other heroes. Leanne Lucas, now fighting for her life in hospital after trying to defend the children, had organised the Taylor Swift dance class. The singer paid her own tribute, posting, "The horror of yesterday's attack is washing over me continuously and I'm just completely in shock. I'm at a complete loss for how to ever convey my sympathies to these families."
British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer also came to support the grieving families.
The Prime Minister travelled to Southport this afternoon to thank those who he said had undoubtedly saved lives in the immediate aftermath. His thoughts with the victims' families.
I'm father, and I cannot imagine what they are going through. But I also wanted to come here as quickly as possible to say a personal thank you face to face to all of you.
But later, after laying a wreath at the police cordon,
"When are you going to change for our children? Our children are dying here because of you."
he was heckled, a measure of the anger many people are feeling here.
Is that it? Is that the time you've got for us?
During the vigil, everything was calm and peaceful as people hugged and supported each other.
The fact that we all care, that we all support each other, that we've all just holding each other's hand, giving each other a hug, just making sure that everybody is okay.
We came just to show our support for the families, didn't we? To show we're behind them 100%, and this should never ever have happened.
It does resonate. You know, you sometimes see it on the news and you think, oh, it's London, you know. Yes, it doesn't happen often, but it's more likely to when it's your own town. It really does hit home.
Myself and my daughters were at the Manchester Arena bombing, the Ariana Grande concert, and I feel like this community has come together in the same way as the Manchester community did as well. And I think while humanity can be really evil at times, it can also be really beautiful.
Then, a few hours after the vigil ended, all hell broke loose.
And finally, horrific news out of the United Kingdom. Violent protests erupted in Southport as hundreds of demonstrators clashed with the police following a deadly knife attack on children attending a Taylor Swift yoga and dance workshop. Rioters attacked a mosque and set a police van on fire after social media speculation wrongly linked the attacker to Islam.
Now, police had announced that they'd arrested a young man in connection to the horrific crime. At the time, they didn't release a lot of information about him, but later said that he was a 17-year-old male from Lancashire.
A 17-year-old male from Banks in Lancashire, who is originally from Cardiff, has been arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder. And he's been taken to a police station where he will be interviewed by detectives.
Because of his young age, police did not release his identity or any other information about him, but they did release this footage that shows the killer moments before the attack happened.
Around 20 minutes before the attack, this footage was filmed on a doorbell camera 5 miles away. Obtained by ITV News, it shows someone wearing a mask pacing around outside a house that's now being investigated by police. 2 hours later, armed officers are filmed arriving at the house. It followed the arrest of a 17-year-old boy. Police say the motive is unclear, but described it as a ferocious attack.
Watch the reflection in the car window. A suspected mass murderer is about to come into view. Where is he going? Hood up and face hidden behind a mask at just gone 11 on a sunny Monday morning. 5 minutes later, he returns, striding towards the direction he came from. This time, we see one hand hidden inside his hoodie, his face still covered with a mask.
The suspect then walked back around this corner to a property here on Old School Close. We know at some point he called a taxi to take him to his target, a 15-minute drive away on Hart Street.
At this point, people started spreading rumors online that the attacker had links to Islam and that this was a terrorist attack. A social media account called @ArtemisForNow, which has 44,000 followers, even posted that the attacker's name was Ali al-Shakati, which was completely made up. Although the police announced that this was not true, hundreds of angry protesters went to the street and began attacking the police and setting vehicles on fire. They even burned down a local mosque.
Stones and bricks pelted, vehicles set on fire, violent clashes, and complete mayhem. The seaside town of Southport in the United Kingdom was gripped in never-seen-before chaos. Anger spilled onto the streets and riots erupted after 3 young girls were killed in a heart-wrenching mass stabbing incident.
Something like this that has unfolded here yesterday is something that is what can only be described as a devastating nightmare. You know, it's so shocking. We're in a seaside town. Children should be able to enjoy their summer holidays, and the beginning of it, this tragedy's happened, and it's just so utterly, you can't describe in words how upsetting it is.
About 50 police officers were injured in the protests and were taken to the hospital with fractures, lacerations, a suspected broken nose, and a concussion. Local leaders came out to condemn the protests and attributed them to members of a far-right movement group called the English Defence League, which is known for its bigoted and racist beliefs. The area member of parliament said that the protesters must face the full force of the law. He said that people were using the horrific incident for their own political purposes. He called the protesters beard-up thugs, adding, even if the suspect turns out to be Muslim, under no circumstance does that qualify any attack on a mosque by anybody at all. The Prime Minister also condemned the protests, describing the disorder as the actions of a tiny, mindless minority. He said that the rioters had hijacked the vigil for the victims with violence and thuggery, and insulted the community as it grieves. Even the victims' families spoke up against the violence. Elsie's mom, Jenny Stoncombe, wrote on her social media, "This is the only thing that I will write, but please stop the violence in Southport tonight. The police have been nothing but heroic these last 24 hours, and they and we don't need this." But despite the calls for calm, the violence continued for a week, bringing the entire country to a standstill.
It was just an excuse for people to kick off.
It was worse than the videos portrayed, trust me. Like, it was like people were throwing bricks, like whatever they could find.
And throwing punches. Cleveland police are investigating this viral video describing the man who's attacked as of black or ethnic origin. Most of the damage has been dealt with, but many are unsettled, including a local Muslim woman who didn't want to show her face on camera.
It makes me feel quite unsafe, to be honest. I've got family around here. My grandma lives here. I wear hijab, so do some members of my family, and it's not nice to think that I have to worry about their safety. I've got a younger sister who I don't want to go out alone now because I'm cautious of the fact that there is people out there that have these views that are affecting us, and that they...
Dozens of people were arrested in connection with the protests, including a 55-year-old businesswoman named Bernadette Spofford, who was accused of being one of the first people to post a false name of the attacker. She reportedly tweeted, "Ali al-Shakati was the suspect. He was an asylum seeker who came to the UK by boat last year and was on an MI6 watch list. If this is true, then all hell is about to break loose." The tweet spread like wildfire, shared by far-right activists and Andrew Tate. By the time she realized the mayhem she had caused, it was too late. She later said, "It was the spur of the moment, ridiculous thing to do, which has literally destroyed me. It was just a mistake. I did a really stupid thing. I copied and pasted from what I saw, and I added the line, 'if this is true.'" She denied being the source of the misinformation, saying her only mistake was falling into the trap of sharing misinformation, like thousands of others did across social media in the aftermath of the attack.
The post I shared was a pasted from details of a message I'd seen on Twitter and was caveated by the point it needed further verification.
A Facebook user named Jordan Parlor was also arrested after he reportedly incited people to attack a hotel called Britannia Hotel, which was home to 210 refugees and asylum seekers. He wrote on Facebook, "Every man and their dog should be smashing out Britannia Hotel." He posted this after the hotel had already been targeted by people throwing rocks and breaking windows. More attacks happened after his post. He was jailed for nearly 2 years for his actions. Another guy named Tyler K. was sentenced to over 3 years in prison after he reportedly encouraged protesters to attack asylum seekers and set the hotels on fire.
He arrived at court with huge security around him. The teenage defendant was in the white prison van, so far anonymous, but about to be named publicly.
The 17-year-old suspect appeared before a juvenile court judge on July 31st, 2024. During the hearing, the media asked the judge to lift the ban protecting his identity, saying that he would be turning 18 in a week, and therefore already an adult. The prosecution, on the other hand, argued against naming the suspect, saying that he had an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis and had been unwilling to leave the house and communicate with family for a period of time. In the end, the judge ruled in favor of the media, saying that it would stop the misinformation that had spread regarding the accused's identity.
Continuing to prevent full reporting at this stage has a disadvantage of allowing others up to mischief to continue to spread misinformation in a vacuum.
He acknowledged his decision was exceptional, but said the balance clearly comes down in favor of the public interest in allowing full reporting of these proceedings.
He hid his face for much of the time, refusing to confirm his name. In law, at 17, he's a child, so wouldn't normally be identified. But he's 18, an adult, next week, and the media asked the judge to scrap his anonymity. The prosecutor, Deanna Heer, said the court needed to balance the defendant's welfare against the public's interest in the case.
The prosecutor said naming him would reduce the risk of misidentification of others who might be subject to violence, as seen in the recent disorder. The police, she said, doubted that would ease public tension, and the youth justice team wanted to keep his anonymity for his own welfare.
Judge Andrew Maneri said it was exceptional, but he would allow Rudakubana to be named.
Axel Magwana Rudakubana was born in Cardiff, Wales, and is a British citizen. His parents are originally from Rwanda, and he has an older brother. The family moved to the Southport area in 2013. At the time of the attack, they lived in Banks, a large village on the northern eastern outskirts of Southport. The dad went to work every day, while the mom was the homemaker. Neighbors described the family as nice, saying they never had any issues with anyone.
There were no problems while they were living here. They were a friendly couple with 2 little boys. I can't believe what's happened.
Axel, who was described as a quiet choir boy, had attended Range High School in Formby and was part of a musical theater group. A friend from his music theater group recalled how Axel was introduced in class, and they were asked to make him feel welcome because he had just moved from quite far away.
I think it was more him trying to branch out and meet kids in the community. He was enjoying it, but, you know, with musical theater kids, they're very extroverted. He was quiet.
In 2018, when Axel was 11, he was featured in a BBC Children in Need promotional video, dressed as the 10th Doctor in the Doctor Who TV show.
It's that time of year again! You could even dress up as every Doctor Who ever.
However, when his identity was released, BBC removed the Children in Need advert featuring him from its platforms. The company that cast him also deleted all references to him from their social media. His family has also had to go into hiding for fear that they might be targeted. A few weeks after the attack, all the injured victims were discharged from the hospital after making a full recovery. Then, on August 20th, 2024, King Charles visited the town of Southport to meet with the survivors and express his sympathy to the families of the 3 young girls who lost their lives.
They kept bringing the flowers and teddies. Now the king wanted to show his support.
So have you all been having a reasonable Holocaust despite all this horror?
Visibly moved by tributes left to the 3 little girls who lost their lives in the knife attack on the 29th of July.
Thank you for coming to Southport. It means an awful lot to us.
3 weeks on, the crowds were grateful as he made his way towards Southport Town Hall for a poignant meeting with the brave children who'd survived and their families. Understandably, they wanted to keep that meeting private, but I'm told that they had a tea party. The palace stressing just how much the king wanted it to be a special moment for those who've been through so much.
Axel was charged with 3 counts of murder, 10 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of possession of a bladed article in a public place. He pleaded not guilty to the charges, and his pre-trial is set for October 25th, 2024.
Alex Rudakubana is 17, British, born in Wales and of Rwandan heritage. He faces 14 charges, including possession of a kitchen knife with a curved blade. The most serious, the murders of B.B. King, Elsie Stankham and Elise Aguirre. The attempted murders of 8 other young children stabbed during a holiday dance and yoga class in Southport on Monday, and the attempted murder of yoga teacher Leanne Lucas and next-door businessman John Hayes.
There are still a lot more questions than answers at this point. Like, was this a targeted attack or a random one? Why did he do it? And how long had he been planning it? Hopefully we'll get the answers at the pre-trial. But for now, we pray for the families of Alice, Elsie, and BB, and everyone affected by this tragic incident. What do you think was Axel's motive for hurting those innocent children? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button.